Although national parks are important for conservation efforts and even education, they do pose some issues. Thousands of missing and injured persons cases occur each year, and national parks across the globe are involved. This has brought into question the safety of these parks and how much free rein citizens should be given. These missing persons cases further the theory that parks should improve their security systems. Number 5. A 70-year-old man named James Pruitt from Tennessee went missing from a popular national park on February 28, 2019. In this case, the victim was not immediately reported missing by family. Instead, his vehicle was found abandoned on March 3rd in the Glacier Gorge area of the Rocky Mountain National Park. Rangers tracked the car back to James Pruitt and contacted his family in Tennessee. His family informed them that James had not been heard from since the Thursday before, which was several days. Rangers determined that James should be considered a missing person, and a search was quickly organized. Unfortunately, about 2 feet of snow had fallen between the last time James was heard from and the day that his car was discovered. This, in addition to unusual obstacles, made the search very difficult in many ways. A press release published by the Rocky Mountain National Park communications team informed that from March 3rd to March 9th, a search encompassing about 15 square miles was conducted for any sign of the missing elderly man. It stated that the following areas were included in the search: the Glacier Gorge drainage, the Lockvale drainage, and Glacier Creek drainage. The release also shared that in some areas, searchers encountered snow so deep it would reach their chests, causing immense difficulty as you could imagine. In October of 2019, another search with over 50 members was performed, seeking any new evidence or information concerning the man who was still missing. That search unfortunately also led investigators to a dead end, where they ultimately wound up empty-handed. James is still missing, and his family describes that while their hope has dwindled over time, they remain optimistic about their loved one returning home safely someday. James Pruitt is still a missing person, and our investigation will continue in hopes of gaining further information as to his plans of his disappearance. Park rangers would like to hear from anyone who is in Glacier Gorge or Bear Lake areas between Thursday, February 28th and March 3rd, who may have had contact with Pruitt during his hikes leading up to February 28th. Pruitt may be wearing a blue jacket, red or orange hat, and micro spikes on hiking boots. Number 4. On November 22nd, 2019, 22-year-old Victoria McCloy and a 20-year-old Jeffrey Bignell arrived at Bald Head in a national park near Albany. The pair had ventured out on a vacation weekend getaway where they planned to enjoy nature and wildlife. They were scheduled to camp and fish for a few days. During a call, they were found to be happy and perfectly safe. Sadly, things didn't remain that way for very long, though. Their allotted vacation time eventually passed and the pair failed to return home. According to an online article, as more time passed and no one was able to contact the couple, a concerned relative traveled to the Coastline Peninsula and found their vehicle in a parking lot. In addition, the couple's personal belongings were found near a popular fishing spot, as they'd been abandoned. This, of course, struck concern, and a search effort was quickly organized. The huge search, which covered both land and sea, worked for days. In early December, just a few days after the search began, Jeffrey's body was found. Details related to this discovery are scarce, as the investigation is still ongoing. However, it's assumed that no foul play was involved. It seems as though he likely suffered a fate related to natural yet harsh conditions of the outdoors. After the remains were found, Australian police allegedly cut back on their search efforts, abruptly ending many groups and locations from continuing the search. Basically, the case was switched to a recovery search, meaning their main goal was to locate the remaining body of 22-year-old Victoria McCloy. Her family disagreed with this decision, and a GoFundMe was sparked to hire private search teams and members. In the post, they stated, "We desperately hope to bring her home to her mom to be laid to rest and give closure to her family." Officials have stated that if new information or fresh evidence is uncovered, the search will be sparked again at full force. Although the outcome remains grim from the point of many, Victoria's family has not given up hope and plan to keep the search going for as long as they can. Number 3. Yannick Bastien is a 26-year-old man with an apparent history of enjoying the outdoors and traveling through nature, which is why it was no surprise when he told his family and friends he was planning to canoe in a lake in Canada. Yannick, originally from Alberta, set out on his trip and kept in contact with his loved ones back home. He was last heard of on September 21st, 2019. His plans were allegedly going as planned, based off the story that he told. However, a few days passed with nothing but silence from the adventurer, and his relatives grew concerned. They finally contacted park rangers, and after he wasn't found anywhere in the immediate areas, or nearby areas, a missing persons case was opened and a search was organized. The search found some personal items of his along the south shore of the lake that he was intended to canoe at. The items included his canoe, a tent, a backpack, and shoes. This massive search went on for several days, but as is common in national park search efforts, it was scaled back after a few days, and after about a month, it was almost completely canceled. Yannick's family did begin organizing their own search teams from the beginning, though. These efforts included anywhere between 20 and 50 volunteer hikers and search members working all day every day. His family reported that even complete strangers arrived to help hunt for him after they saw a series of flyers that were online. The family's constructed search team made sure to venture into new areas that the former team had failed to inspect. According to an online report, friends and family said that they exhausted all options from ground to helicopter searches, even bringing in a specialized sonar team from the US when there was a possible lead. It's unclear if now, over 2 months after this update, the secondary search team is still ongoing. It has been confirmed, though, that Yannick is still missing. Park rangers, National Guard, and law enforcement have assured everyone that if new leads are found, the original search will be restarted. Yannick's family holds on to their hopes that their young adventurer will be found safe and brought home from the dangerous conditions of the wilderness. Number 2. Lieutenant Matthew Kraft is a Marine and infantry officer who received survival training during his time on duty. Despite his set of advanced skills, he became the victim of a missing persons case after he vanished while visiting Yosemite National Park. He traveled to the park in California, where he began his planned backcountry skiing trip through Sierra Nevada. It's believed that he set on his journey on February 23rd when he took off at a section of the rugged Sierra High route. According to the officers on the case, he was set to complete his trip on the following Monday or Tuesday. He should have arrived near Bridgeport, a town northeast of Yosemite National Park, at the end of his adventure. He never arrived at his expected destination, and he's not been heard from since. Officers assured that he was equipped with the skills to survive, and the search was hopeful. His Jeep was later found near the start of his trip, where he had parked it near the shore. This confirmed that Matthew had most likely started his trip, making the infinite possible outcomes even more vast. An aerial search using thermal imaging technology found a hotspot near a cave in the woods. Surrounded by snow and trees, family found a hibernating bear instead of the missing Marine. This event was followed by a limit on search efforts due to the weather conditions and threats of avalanche near mountains. A team which consisted of Marines from the Mountain Warfare Training Center in Bridgeport and 13 agencies covering an area larger than the state of Rhode Island was instructed to draw back on their devoted investigations. After a few weeks, the search was scaled back further due to snowfall and a general lack of information. 5 months after Matthew went missing in August of 2019, his family hoped that the search would be sparked again in the new warm, snowless conditions. Although some experts, and of course his family, were hopeful to find the Marine in improved conditions, it seemed that summer had threats to offer as well. It has been revealed that it's possible that he could have survived the winter and even the harsh summer months, but simply failed to find a path back to civilization. The problem of visitors getting lost in the depths of national parks is a recurring issue that gets brought up when the park systems are further investigated. Rangers, officers, professors, and other experts insist that there should be maps or emergency phone poles set up throughout even the deepest parts of natural lands to assist in missing persons cases. Number 1. 39-year-old Niels Becker planned on a 5-day hiking trip in the Alpine National Park. The trip was intended to be a solo one, passing by Mount Buller, Mount Sterling, and the Upper Jameson Hut. This intense trip was set to begin on October 24, 2019. Niels began his amazing trip, and at first, things carried on in his favor. He apparently texted his loved ones on October 26th. He confirmed that he would be back to his car by October 29th and instructed them not to worry. Of course, very soon after this exchange, his family would be filled with worry. October 29th rolled around, and no one had heard from Niels since the final text conversation. He was given a grace period of a few hours before his family grew alarmed and contacted park rangers. A search was quickly arranged, and about a week later, Sergeant Mark Hesse was the one in charge of the search and stated, "We're in day 6 of the search, and he's a week overdue, but we firmly believe we're still looking for an alive person." In regards to the victim, Hesse also mentioned that he was a very smart man who was a meticulous planner that was well equipped for his journey. Anytime someone goes missing in a national park or the wilderness, it's like a ray of shining hope to know that they were equipped for an emergency or trained to survive the threats of the outdoors. Then again, sometimes unexpected things happen, and even the most well-trained hikers can get themselves out of certain situations. Hopefully, this wasn't the case for Niels. Over time, the search was scaled back, and near its end, about 70 hikers and officers were searching both land, sea, and air for him. However, the search was eventually ended after a period of inactivity and a decrease in available resources. There have been no official updates on this case since mid-November, when the search was called off. As with many cases, rangers and officers assure that if new leads are able to be uncovered, the search will begin at full force. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.